بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We are now going into which we call it the tahara, which is Islamically defined, the tahara which is not just the physical one but the spiritual one. The tahara which involves now how to make the wudu in order to perform the prayer. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that there is no salah would be accepted without tuhur. And tuhur here means purification, which is wudu or ghusl if it is needed. And then the tahara, he says, is of two types. One tahara, it's alright, it's okay, you've got space for you.
No problem.
Tahara and that is with the water. And the second one, which we call it the dry tahara, or the dry ablution, and that is made with, it says here, the what? The dirt? Or do you say the sand or the soil? The soil. I don't know how much soil you've got in this country. The sa'id is whatever is on the ground. That is from the rocks, there's dirt. So I used to translate it even to the sand, and people said, there's not a lot of sand in this country as well. So sand and soil maybe is not a right translation. So as-sa'id, whatever is from the earth, from the rocks, stones, dirt, anything like that. Then he says, number one, the tahara with the water, which is the wudu and the ghusl. Then he starts now with describing the wudu. Go ahead.
Ablution, its characteristics. Humran, the ex-slave of Uthman radiallahu anh, stated that Uthman called for a pitcher of water and he made ablution. He washed his hands 3 times, then he rinsed his mouth and inserted water into his nose and breathed it out. Then he washed his face 3 times. Then he washed his right arm until the elbows 3 times. Then he washed his left arm until his elbows 3 times. Then he wiped his head. Then he washed his right foot until the ankles 3 times. Then he did similarly with the left foot. He then said, I saw the Messenger of Allah ﷺ make ablution like this ablution of mine. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ then said, whoever makes ablution like this ablution of mine and then stands and prays 2 rak'ahs of prayers with no other thought coming to his mind, then his previous sins will be forgiven. Ibn Shihab added, our scholars would say that this is the most complete form of ablution one can make for the prayer.
The sifa or the description of the wudu is going to be, inshallah, practiced practically in this class when we finish the chapter of wudu. I will do the wudu, but I have to first of all to finish whatever is text-wise and make sure that you understand what is the difference between a pillar, an obligatory condition, and also recommended and permissible and disliked and prohibited. When we finish that, we come to the practical wudu. So this is a general description from Humran, who is the emancipated slave or the freed slave of Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu. He had called for a wudu. So with Humran, he narrates that Uthman radiyallahu anhu narrated, he had said that he had called for wudu and he made the wudu, and in which he performed the wudu that hopefully most of you perform it. But as I said, we're going to describe it and do it a demonstration for you, inshallah, to make sure that you perfect it. But there are 2 points here I want to elaborate before I go ahead to the detailed wudu and the pillars and the as well the prerequisites. First point is regarding when he says he washes his hand up to the elbow. When he says up to the elbow, I would believe that maybe you think the elbow is not included. The elbow is part of it. So you have to make sure that the water would reach the elbow. That would be as well more emphasized when we come to the detailed. But this is when it says up to the elbow, maybe the elbow is not included. Second point is that, which is he said that the Prophet of Allah said, he who does this wudu, means the wudu which is complete, then he would stand to do 2 rak'ah. He says, لا يحدث فيهما نفسه. He does not talk to himself in these 2 rak'ah, except what the 2 rak'ah requires you to think of. So he does not take his mind to dunya, does not take his mind to anything. He said, غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ مِنْ ذَنْبِهِ, that he will have all his previous sins will be forgiven. Not even to think that if he finishes these 2 rak'ah, he will get this reward, because if he keeps thinking like this, he's going to forget what he's prayed and what he had recited and all of that. So he has to be with Allah completely. His prayer, his 2 rak'ah is just in the prayer, nothing else. After he finishes, then all his previous sins will be forgiven. Simple to perform, simple to listen to, but it's very hard to practice. Very hard to practice. Have 2 rak'ah just solely to Allah. You think of nothing, except for the 2 rak'ah. If anybody can do that, you're very well, because it needs training. It needs training. It's not just simple. So it's just easy to read, not very hard to do. From the word Allahu Akbar until the salutation, nothing but the prayer. You are with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ibn Shihab, he says, Az-Zuhri, this is Imam Zuhri rahmatullah alayhi, from the ear of the followers, he says that our scholars used to say, this wudu is the best of the wudu that anybody can do for the salah. Let's go now to the details of this wudu. Number 1, شروط صحته, the prerequisites for its acceptance. Now, validity.
Conditions for the correctness of the ablution. Number 1,
maybe conditions for the corrections of the ablution, conditions for the validation. Better word, isn't it? Validity of the wudu. So conditions for the validity of the wudu. What are the conditions that would make this wudu valid? Now,
number 1, the intention. The Prophet ﷺ said, verily all actions are based on the intention. It is not sanctioned to actually state the intention, as such has not been confirmed from the Prophet ﷺ.
Intention, the niyyah, when we talk about it, we always talk about it from 2 different angles. First intention, which is the intention that the scholars of Aqeedah they talk about, which is ikhlas. That you're doing this wudu, or these 2 rak'ah, or this salah, or this ibadah, solely to Allah. So that is the intention with which scholars of Aqeedah they talk about, ikhlas. So you are making the wudu not for the sake of that, to show that I'm making wudu. It's not for showing off. The second type of intention, which is the fuqaha, the scholars of fiqh they talk about, and that is that you are doing this wudu for the sake of ibadah. So basically you know what you're doing. So for example, the wudu is basically washing some of the limbs. So if you dipped yourself into a swimming pool, definitely you have washed all these limbs that you're supposed to wash in the wudu. But if you did not have the intention when you have jumped into that swimming pool to make the wudu, you'll come out, even though you washed all your limbs, you're not in wudu. Why? Because the intention was not there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you make wudu, you wash part of the limbs. But if you have a swim or shower, you're going to have what? All these limbs being washed. But if you did not have the intention when you had a wash or a swim in the swimming pool to make a wudu for that ibadah, even though you had a lot of water on those limbs, still it will not be counted as wudu. That is the intention that we were talking about. Also, just to make you understand. Let's say, for example, that this person, okay, now he believes that he's making a renewal for the wudu, but it is not for a valid reason. So he made wudu, proper wudu, for the salah. Then after half an hour, he wanted to renew the wudu, and there was no valid excuse for renewal. For example, he did not have a new prayer. He just wants to make wudu for the sake of wudu. Do you understand that? So that reason is not valid. Now, if he stays on the first wudu, then his whatever ibadah is doing is correct. But if he did invalidate his wudu and he did not remember, and he thinks now he is actually renewing the wudu, that renewal will not count. Because that renewal was not done for a valid reason. So if, for example, he renewed the wudu because he wanted to do another prayer, then no problem. Even if he had invalidated that wudu, this renewal will be counted. But if he made a renewal for the sake of the renewal, then that renewal will not be valid. And hopefully you understand what I'm saying. Let me repeat what I just said. If you made wudu, which is a correct wudu for the prayer, okay? So that wudu because you had the right intention. Okay? Say that you have invalidated your wudu. Okay? And you forgot that you invalidated your wudu. And then you want to make a wudu to renew it, not to think that you have invalidated a new wudu. You to renew it. And that renewal was not for a valid reason. What is a valid reason? A reason, for example, you renew the wudu because a new prayer came in. So you made dhuhr, you want to make asr. Even if you are in wudu, you could renew the wudu. That's a valid reason. But if there is no prayer to be prayed, you just wanted to renew the wudu, because some people go waswasa all the time, make wudu. So they made the renewal for the sake of no valid reason. That wudu is not good enough to lift the hadath, the minor defilement, which is the thing that you've done, which is your past wind or whatever you narrated. It will not be enough to purify you for the second following prayer. And if you remember, they have to make the whole prayer again, because that wudu of yours is not valid. The second one. Did you get it now? And I'll give it to you a more example as well, so you can understand as well. Let's say that you had a ghusl, which you think it is because of you're dirty, because you are smelly. Full ghusl. You finish the ghusl, and then after the ghusl, you perform the prayer, and then you remember actually you are on janaba. You are what? On janaba. Is that ghusl enough?
No.
No, because that ghusl was not for the janaba. Correct?
No.
Okay. So you made now a ghusl for janaba. You washed yourself, okay, for janaba. Alright. And then you perform the ibadah. Correct. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. But let's say now, after you have made this ghusl of janaba, you were in janaba again. And you slept, the following morning, you forgot that you were on a janaba. You wanted to make another ghusl, but this ghusl, not for dirtiness, just for the sake of making ghusl. You make another ghusl, but you did not remember that you were on janaba. Is that ghusl enough for that janaba? No. It has to have the right intention. So if you made a ghusl for the sake of no religious purposes, that ghusl will not be valid. If you made a wudu for the sake of no religious purposes, will not be strong enough to lift up the what? The minor defilement. So that person, when he made wudu for the sake of renewal and there was no valid reason, why do you want to renew the wudu? You cannot make wudu and after 5 minutes you're going to make another wudu just for the sake of wudu. It's not allowed. You can make it, but if you are on no wudu because you passed when you didn't remember, that second wudu will not be enough to make you pure. Is that understood, everybody? Okay. Coming to the intention now. By the way, the intention, as I said, the aqidah people they speak about is sincerity. And the second intention that will be intention that is the fuqaha speak about is the intention that you know what you're doing. So when you have intention for making wudu, so you are remembering that you need to make wudu. That's what it is. There's no such thing that you utter the words, I want to make wudu, or I want to make prayer, or whatever. That intention is not words you utter. It's not something that you stand in front of the mirror and you start repeating some words. It is not that. It's basically knowing what you're doing. So if you go to the toilet, why do you go to the toilet? Because there's something there you want to relieve yourself from. So as soon as something moves in your belly, you want to go and get rid of it. So you go to the toilet and you don't stop before the toilet. I intend to go to the toilet to do it. oh, I intend to go to the toilet to wash my hands. You don't do that. So something had asked you to do this, you go straight away without stopping, without uttering a word. So you knowing what you're doing. And even if you uttered word, you made it from the bid'ah side, let's say for the sake of argument, you are a person who always say the words. Whatever is dependent upon this ibadah is in the heart, is not on the words. So let's say, for example, this person, he comes to the Dhuhr prayer. And he always utters, I intend to pray for Rak'ah Dhuhr, but his tongue slipped. I intend to pray for Rak'ah Asr. But he wanted actually to pray what? Is prayer valid or not valid? Valid. Is what? Valid. Because it's in his heart, he wants to make what? Dhuhr. Let's say the other way around now. This person actually, he forgotten that he hasn't done the Dhuhr. He forgotten. He forgotten and he thinks that he's done Dhuhr. He thinks he's done Dhuhr. So he's coming down to the prayer after the Imam, thinking he's going to do what? Asr. And the prayer is what?
Dhuhr.
His intention is what?
Asr.
So he's behind the Imam now. I intend to pray for Rak'ah Dhuhr. Slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue. But actually his intention is to do what? Is his Dhuhr valid? No valid. Why is not valid? Because he wants to pray the Asr. That's the intention. So the intention is not the words, it's what's in your heart. And I'll give you further as how the intention works even when the scholars, when they want, for example, to punish somebody. Let's say, for example, this person is married and he left his wife to go to a journey. So when he went out, this person, and he actually went to go and, a'udhu billah, look for a woman to do haram with her. Alright? So when he left to a place to find a woman for him. She herself, as soon as her husband left, she wanted to look for a haram relationship. They went by the will of Allah to the same place. And they ended up in the same bedroom, but there was darkness, they didn't know. So they did the haram, and after the light went on, or after whatever, they realized it's his own wife. Even though that he is doing the haram or the halal with his wife, it's considered to be what?
Haram.
Fornication. Because his intention is haram, her intention is haram. Let's say the other way around. This husband left for halal. This wife, she left the room for halal. Subhanallah, she got a twin sister. So the twin sister, she came one night to sleep in her bed. The husband came back. He is, we could say looking forward to see his wife. He goes to the bedroom, he doesn't see anything, and he makes the relationship that you know about with that woman, thinking she's what?
His wife.
His wife. After he finished, this is not my wife. Is that haram or halal?
Halal.
Halal. Halal that time and not do it again. Just that halal is halal because he didn't know. And her, she didn't know. Because she was asleep or something. Don't imagine it, brother. I'm just giving an example, okay? So don't think, is it going to happen or not going to happen? But this is what the scholars, they tell you, they train you how you know the intention, what it is about. So this person, even though he had done a haram relationship, but his intention was good, Allah will not take him for that. He will not hold him an account for this. Alright? Okay. This is the intention. Now we're coming to the second one, which is at-tasmiyah.
Number 2, mentioning the name of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, there is no prayer for the one who does not have ablution, and there is no ablution for one who did not mention the name of Allah upon it.
Right. At-tasmiyah. At-tasmiyah, to say Bismillah when you start your wudu. This tasmiyah, Al-Dahlawi, rahimahullah, he says in Hujjatullah al-Baligha that it is a statement from the Prophet ﷺ, La salata liman la wudu'a lah. There is no prayer for the person who's got no wudu. Is the prayer counted if you have no wudu? No. And the same thing, وَلَا وُضُوءَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَذْكُرِ اسْمَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ. And there is no wudu counted if you don't say the Allah's name on it. Bismillah. So your wudu will not be valid. So you say this is a statement from the Prophet of Allah to show that the tasmiyah is either a rukn or a shart. Rukn means pillar and shart means prerequisite, condition. What is the difference between pillar and a condition? Anybody like from the people who are sitting around here? My students, yalla. What is the difference between rukn, pillar, and a prerequisite shart? Now, anybody? Yes, tfadl.
There's a pillar that it has to be done, and a condition is only when that specific situation arises that you need to do it. So not necessarily
really
obligatory.
Okay, let me just now give you the similarity between the condition. Condition and pillar, if they're not there, if the pillar is not there, the condition is not there, your deed is invalid. So the invalidation is there. But there's a very fundamental difference between them. That is, the pillar is part of the act, where the condition is not part of the act. Give you an example. Washing the face is a pillar from the what? The wudu. But the cleanliness or the purity of the water that you make in wudu with is a condition. It is not part of the wudu. So what is part of the wudu? Washing the face, washing the arms, washing the feet. That's part of the wudu. It's called pillars. Whereas the water needs to be clean. That's not part of the wudu. So it's called a condition. Now, tasmiyah, saying Bismillah. Some scholars, they deem it to be part of the wudu. They call it pillar. Some, they say, no, it's from outside the wudu. So they call it what? Condition. That's why he said it's condition or a pillar. It doesn't matter. Because the outcome of it is the same. If you leave the rukn, the pillar, or you leave the intention, the condition, it's going to be what? Invalid. Is that understood? Right. So, now, also from the conditions of the wudu, which is not the pillars, that the water has to reach your body. So if you had paint, oil paint, okay, and you made wudu, that wudu will be invalid because it cannot reach the skin of yours. So that is not part of the wudu. It's from outside the part of the wudu. So that's a prerequisite condition. It is not a pillar. But the outcome is pillar and condition in terms of validation wise. They have to be there either. Otherwise your act will be invalid. Coming back. So the tasmiyah, he says, it is no doubt that this is the text, a statement from the Prophet of Allah. It's either a rukn or shart. And he said that some of the scholars said, no, the wudu will not be perfected unless you make the tasmiyah. He said, this is not really correct understanding. But now, let's just say, person forgotten to say Bismillah. Not deliberately. He forgotten. That's that's a major issue. If you've forgotten. Because you know that if you forgot, let's say, washing your face, and you prayed, is your prayer valid? No. Because you have forgotten what?
Rukn. The
rukn. If you've forgotten and you washed yourself with water that is not clean, or you mistaken, you made wudu, but actually it was not water, it was urine. Okay? Smellless urine. There's no smell for it. You thought it was water. And then you realized it's urine. Is your wudu valid?
Yes.
No, it's not valid. Even though it's a condition, it's not valid. So what about Bismillah? Bismillah, the scholars had said, just like when we slaughter the animal. If you said Bismillah, it becomes halal. If you deliberately didn't say Bismillah, it becomes haram. If you slaughtered your animal and you did not say Bismillah because you forgot, that's the scholars that differ. The correct opinion is says, Ibn Abbas, رُفِعَ الْأُمَّةِ الْخَطَأ وَالنِّسْيَانِ وَمَا اسْتُكْرِهُ عَلَيْهِ. My ummah will not be held on account for what they have made as a mistake, what they have made if they forgot, whatever they have made under compulsion. So, if you forgot to say Bismillah, no problem. But this is to forget it, not as a habit all the time. You forgot it. Or, so, you forgot it, you didn't say Bismillah, or, it does happen that the person, he doesn't know that Bismillah is a condition or a pillar. So many people, they don't know that. And I'm going to make it just like washing the face. Believe me, I'm going to invalidate the wudu of half of this ummah. That's how bad it is. So many people make wudu without Bismillah. For those who are reverts, maybe they are amazed with this because you have learned your religion from the book, from the text. But for we as Muslims who did not adopt another religion and then came to Islam, our religion was inherited basically. So I'm asking, who is going to be having the courage to tell me that I normally forget to say Bismillah when I make wudu? Put your hand up, come on. See, one person. It's an Arab. That's why. And most of the Arabs, they forget. Most of the ones who are laymen from the Arab, they don't say Bismillah. Because they never thought Bismillah is what? Part of the conditions of the wudu. They never thought of that. So, who do we invalidate? The one who does not say Bismillah. The one who believes is a pillar and deliberately does not say Bismillah. The one who believes Bismillah is a condition. Because remember, not all the scholars, they say it's a condition or a pillar. Some of them, they say, no, it is recommended. Do you understand me? So some of the scholars say it's recommended. So the one who says it's a pillar or a condition, and he deliberately, does not say Bismillah, it will be invalidated. And this is the saying of Al-Mundhiri, rahmatullahi alayhi. And I gave you now a little research regarding the tasmiyah, that's saying Bismillah, because as I said, it is a pillar and it's or a condition, but it's not as washing the face, because not everybody knows about it. Not everybody knows about it. Not everybody agreed upon it. Like washing the face, all the madhab, it's a rukun. And our Shaykh Al-Albani, the same opinion as well. He says that only the person who deliberately does not say Bismillah, as for the one who does say Bismillah and he forgotten, is no problem. Just like when the person as well makes a marital relation. Prophet ﷺ, he says that when the person approaches his wife, he should say, but what? Bismillah. For very, if he says Bismillah, the shaitan goes away. Yes? Okay. Now, let's say the person, he forgot to say Bismillah. So, does the shaitan is going to attack that child? Shaykh Rahmatullah said, if the person says Bismillah all the time, and just this time he forgot to say Bismillah, then insha'Allah we hope that Allah Azza wa will include that into the Bismillah that he always says it. But if it's his habit, he does not say Bismillah, hardly says Bismillah, then blames nobody except for yourself. Alright? That mission insha'Allah known to you. Coming back now to the third condition. Now,
Number 3, perform the acts one after the other without a lengthy break between the different acts. Khalid ibn Ma'dan narrated, the Prophet ﷺ saw a man pray while there was a spot about the size of a coin on his foot that he had not washed. So the Prophet ﷺ ordered him to repeat his ablution and prayer.
so what is the proof of close sequence? Did he call it close sequence, he said? Monitory, what did he say? I would summarize that better translation. Close sequence. Close sequence. That means when you wash a limb, then the following limb has to be within that time that you are doing your wudu. So it's not, for example, you leave a gap, so that, for example, that you have washed your hands, and then your phone rings. You start answering the call. Yeah, hello, how are you? Right, okay, and everything. And then you put the phone down. You have to start from the beginning now. You cannot just continue because you had a break. All right, between your washing the limbs. That's called close sequence. Al-Muwala. Now, where is the proof from this hadith, which is hadith Khalid ibn Ma'dan, that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw a man, he was praying, and in his feet there's the size of a coin, dirham, on his foot, which wasn't being washed. There's no water, it was dry. Prophet of Allah told him to go and perform the wudu and the salah. So what is the proof for the close sequence? Anybody? It says close sequence. Yes?
Because he didn't fully finish his wudu, because he didn't finish cleaning his feet, so he'd done something else. So he has to go do his wudu all over again.
Yeah, but what? Yes, you're close. Go on.
Did you rush it?
No, what I'm just saying, where is there we deduced from this?
He just finished his wudu, and Rasulullah ﷺ saw it and told him to go back and finish it, to do the feet in close time between the time that he finished wudu and the time he had to go back. There was a short time,
And
so it wasn't a long time.
we pray again just after wudu.
And it's the last thing that it's the last part of the wudu as well as the feet.
You understand that if there was close sequence was not a condition, he would have told her to do what?
Just complete it.
Wash.
Oh, yeah,
Just wash the feet.
Yeah.
Wash the feet.
Yeah.
And the Prophet of Allah is so strict regarding the economization of the water. Economy of water is very important. So he would not make him to go and waste water for nothing. So if it is okay, he would have just told him, go and wash your feet. That's it, khalas. But he told him to do what? Repeat the whole from the beginning. Because the close sequence is
Broken.
a condition. That's why it's broken. This close sequence means that if I do my hands first and my mouth, I have to follow one after the other without breaking it, except that breakage, that stoppage for something which is out of your power, out of your control, something to do with the wudu itself. I'll give you an example. You are in the toilet upstairs and you are making wudu in the basin or the sink or whatever. And then after you finish from the sink, while you are washing, you reached your, let's say your feet, first foot, and then suddenly the water stopped. Second foot is not there. Can't have water. Run out of the tap. No water in the tap. So you went downstairs to the kitchen. So you came downstairs. It could be a big mansion, mashallah, you've got. So you walked about, 2-3 minutes to go reach. Oh, there is no water. Oh, I've got in the garden. You went to the garden outside, another 2-3 minutes. It's about 6-7 minutes before you wash the second foot. Then you found water there. There's no problem here. That close sequence did not break. Because you were in continue of search to that water. They did not break it for other than the water itself. They did not break the wudu except for the wudu itself. Whereas that phone call of yours, that you have interrupted your wudu, is actually breakage. It's a stoppage. It's actually breaking the close sequence. Whereas that, no. Also it happens that sometimes the water freezes. So while you are washing the face, froze the water. So you went downstairs to look for water. Or you wanted to go and heat some water. So you washed your face, you heated some water a bit, you could just continue, you don't have to start from the beginning. Because you have stopped that for the sake of the wudu, not for the sake of anything else. Do you understand the close sequence now? Very important. Lots of people, they would have a phone call and stop. If you had a phone call and you held the phone in one hand and you kept making the wudu continue in the second hand, there's no problem, inshallah. Alright? No problem, inshallah. But it's like talking to somebody else while you're making wudu. It's no problem. Same thing. But if you stop the wudu and you can't, now your mind totally came away from the wudu to something else, not from the wudu, then you have broken your close sequence. You have to start from the beginning. Let's go to the pillars of the wudu. Now, have you understood the condition now? I'm going to go to the pillars. Those pillars, here it says here, fara'id. Fara'id means not pillars. I wouldn't say pillars. I would say obligatories. What is it called? Yeah, obligatory. Yeah? Obligatory. Because those obligatory, there are some of them pillars and some of them obligatory, but it's not as strong as a pillar. Let me now make sure you understand what I'm talking about. You know, we have fara'id, fard. Fard, as we say the Hanafi method, we say the fard is what is obligatory, whereas the Hanafi, they have fard and then wajib. Less fard than wajib. For example, recitation of the Fatiha in the Salah. Recitation of the Fatiha in the Salah for the Ahnaf is not fard, it's wajib. Meaning that if you don't do it, then your prayer is valid, but you're sinned. Whereas the fard is extra. If you don't do it, you'll be where? Your prayer will be invalid. Is that okay? Yeah. Right. So we, the Jumhur, which is not the Hanafis, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad, and the rest, we take another opinion, which is the fard is the same thing. But from that fard, some of it is pillar condition, some of it is not pillar condition, just obligatory. So let's just talk about that while we are going through those limbs. Number 1 and 2 says what?
Washing the face, this includes rinsing the mouth and the nose.
Washing the face, and that includes, which is number 2, the mouth and the nose. He has mentioned 3. Face, nose, and what? Mouth. But he made the mouth and the nose to be what? 1. and the face is to be 1. So we got 1 and 2, but actually it's 1 and 2 and 3 if you want. Could we just later on in the question, idea? Yes. So face and the washing of the water in the mouth and the putting the water in the nostrils. We know from the Quran that the face. But how does the water in the mouth and the nose is to be from the face? That will be discussed later on in a minute, inshallah. Alright? It will be discussed in a minute. Let's just first of all detail that. Washing the face, is that a pillar, condition, or just mere obligatory? Put your finger off your mouth. Yes?
Pillar condition.
Pillar. So write down on the washing of the face is a pillar. P. Put a P for it. Pillar. Where's your book? Should have one. You'll lose and you're going to be regretting.
Is that just for the face? Did you say pillar?
Get your book yourself, a book. You regret. P. That's a pillar. Right, so pillar for the wash. Now, what about the washing of the mouth and the nostril? We have a big, huge khilaf. Khilaf in it. Difference, never controversial. The correct opinion, they are part of the face. How do we discuss about the face? Because Allah, when He said, wash your face, Prophet of Allah interpreted that into washing the face and rinsing the mouth and putting water in the nostrils. And who is the best interpreter of the Quran? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Never ever in his wudu that he left his mouth or his nose. That makes us 100% sure that they are part of the face. So they become what? Pillar. So we've got 3 pillars now. Pillar of the washing the face, pillar rinsing the mouth, and a pillar putting water into what? Onto the nostrils. 3 pillars we've got. 3.
Number 3, washing the arms until the elbows.
Washing the arms until the elbows, that means including the elbows. And very important to put that. But it says until. I don't understand until in English. What does it mean, including the elbows? No.
Up to
No.
to stop when you get to the elbow.
No, that's not right. So it has to be with the elbows. And the Prophet ﷺ, he used to put the water onto his elbows and start washing, going down. أدار الماء على مرفقيه. Now, washing it once, that's the pillar. After that, becomes recommended, as we're going to see. So, washing the first time. So, the hands, and the hands up to. Now, with the hands, when we talk about the hands, there is as well, including the hands, the palms, and the hand itself. Okay, so, unless you wash it at the beginning, which is not a pillar, it's a recommended. You wash it in the beginning, and then you washed your hand, and that water did not touch that much of your hand, which is the palm, is no problem, because you washed it at the beginning. Okay? But if you did not wash it at the beginning, because everybody will start with the what? Washing the hands, isn't it? So if you wash that hands, so when you wash the hand later on, if there's no water came onto that one, you already washed it, there's no problem about that. That will cover for it. Right. 4 and 5. By the way, it's a pillar. We said washing the hands is a pillar. P. Number 4 and 5, please.
Number 4 and 5, wiping all of the head and the ears are considered part of the head and are not considered part of the face while making ablution.
Huh?
This is 4 and 5, wiping all of the head.
Okay.
Considered part of the head.
Yeah.
And in brackets.
And brackets not from us, it's from him.
Yeah.
And are not considered part of the face while making.
Ablution.
I don't understand that statement. What does it mean? That's a confusing statement for me. It's not from the text.
Okay.
He's like saying it's not the face.
It's just the head.
Yeah, he said it's, like when you said the face is the mouth and the nose, and the face, he's saying that.
Why don't need that statement, do I?
No, really. He's saying it's
What
not
is
part
it
of the face.
confusing?
Yeah. He's
It's
saying
considered part of the head. Why don't you to know not considered part of the face while making the ablution? Just cross that out. But that really confusing statement is not needed at all. I don't know why he said it. Right, so the head is a pillar. To wipe it once, and most of you do it what?
Okay.
With the head you do it 3?
Once.
No, we coming up with 3. You do 3? Okay, but you'll have to do 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you
So you said it wrongly, but it's correct.
Yeah.
رب رمية من غير رامي. And you hit the target even if you did not throw the right arrow. You hit the target. You can do it 3 times, but the pillar is only once. And you always do it once. You never do it more than once. I know it. None of you do it more than once. True? Yeah, you always do it once. You're going to start doing it more than once. Inshallah. Right, so it's a pillar. And then he says the udhunan. Udhunan, because there is a hadith which is not authentic, but it's actually authentic from the companion. Al-udhunani min al-ras. That is, the Shaykh al-Albani, he was making this hadith to be authentic. On our Shaykh Mashhur, Hafidhahullah, he had presented his research regarding this hadith, and the Shaykh al-Albani, while he's alive, he had actually said, yes, it is not hadith, but it's authentic from the companion. And because this cannot be said by opinion, so it is like from the saying of the Prophet of Allah, even the Prophet of Allah did not say it. Al-udhunani min ras, the ears are from the head. Just like we said, that when Allah Azza wa Jal had said, and wipe your head, Prophet of Allah all the time would wipe the head and the what? The ears. The ears including the what? And the head. Same thing with the mouth and the nose. Allah always said, Quran says what? Wash the face. But the Prophet of Allah all the time was what? Washing the face and mouth and nose. So these ears are from the head. Now, number 6. So they are pillars, by the way. All of them pillars. Number 6.
Number 6, washing both feet until the ankles.
Washing both feet until the ankles, that means including the ankles. And it is only once, and this is a pillar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. نعم.
O you who believe, when you intend to offer the prayer, wash your faces and your arms to the elbows, rub by passing wet hands over your heads, and wash your feet up to the ankles.
Jazakallah khair. Naam. Go ahead.
Rinsing the mouth and the nose are obligatory because in the Quran, Allah has ordered the washing of the face, and it is confirmed that the Prophet ﷺ would always rinse the nose and mouth in every ablution. Everyone who narrated and described how he made ablution made mention of rinsing these two. It can be concluded that the washing of the face ordered in the Quran includes rinsing the mouth and nose. Furthermore, the command to rinse these two are also found in the following statements from the Prophet ﷺ. When one of you makes ablution, he should put water up his nose and then blow it out. In ablution, you should put water well up your nose unless you are fasting.
That's another hadith. It's another hadith supposedly.
Yeah, the next page.
When you make ablution, rinse the mouth. No, so that, by the way, this in ablution, you should put water up your nose unless you are fasting. This is the second one, by the way.
Okay.
See, look, it's inverted commas on their own. So you put after that, before that, and he also said, do you understand me? So it's the second hadith, by the way. So it's not different hadith from each other. Because he lumped them together, he made them one.
Yeah, I thought.
I know, it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm here to correct.
Sure.
And also he said, the second hadith, he said, rinse your water and exaggerate in doing that, except if you are fasting. The third one, that is, do that. And if you make wudu, then make madmada, rinse your mouth, yes?
Yeah.
No.
He also said, when you make ablution, rinse the mouth. Concerning the obligation of wiping the entire head, the command for wiping in the Quran is actually ambiguous. Hence, one turns to the Sunnah to explain it. It is confirmed in the Sahihs of Bukhari and Muslim, as well as in other works of the Prophet ﷺ, wiped his entire head. This is evidence of the obligation of wiping the entire head. Here, one might argue that in the hadith of Al-Mughira, it is narrated that the Prophet ﷺ wiped over his forehead only and his turban. The response to this is that the Prophet ﷺ wiped only over his forehead because he completed the rest of his head by wiping over his turban, and this is what we are saying. Thus in the hadith there is no evidence for one simply to wipe over the forehead or only part of the head without completing it by wiping over the turban. The result is that it is obligatory to wipe the entire head. The one wiping the head does this by wiping over his entire head only, or by wiping over his turban only, or by wiping over his head and turban. All of them are correct and confirmed. As for the ears being considered from the head and therefore obligatory to be wiped, it is based on the Prophet ﷺ statement, the two ears are part of the head.
And that statement we said is not from the Prophet of Allah, corrected. We find it is to be from the companion himself. It's not from the Prophet ﷺ, but it's still the power. The power is the same, so don't worry about the. You could say the rule for it. The rule is still the same. The rule is still the same. Right. Before I go to the following title, which is the what? Okay, which is running the fingers. Before I go to that, first of all, let me just explain what he had just said regarding the wiping over the head. The Shafi'iyya, they say that wiping over, not the head, just a bit of the head is, so you can just use one finger like that. I mean, why do we have to go with this? And we know that the masah, if we go with the complete, then we are safe. If we go with this one, we are not, maybe not. Do we need to go and put our wudu at stake by using this? That's number one. Number two, the hadith that they brought, that the hadith Mughira, that the Prophet ﷺ, he had actually wiped over his forehead and top of his turban. First of all, wiping over the turban is permissible. And your turban doesn't have to be on full wudu before you put your turban. The same thing with the sister, that would be helpful with the sisters as well. If they have their scarf, they don't have to take off their scarf to wipe over their hair. They could wipe over their scarf. But the way to do it is, whether the brother or the sister, if your scarf or your turban is fully covering the hair, the head, then the person will wipe over the turban once, or the scarf. But if it is partly showing, so your hair is showing a bit, and turban is covering the rest, or the scarf covering the rest, so your wiping will be some of it on the hair, and some of it in the what? On the turban or the scarf. Okay? And if it is the hair showing, then you need to wipe it. In 3 cases, you have to wipe the ears from the inside. In the 3 cases. So you will, put your hands inside. Okay. What is this rukhsah concession being given to us? You don't have to take off the turban. You don't have to take off the scarf, because it's got lots of, hassle into it. And always Islam comes to remove the hassle. So you don't have to have a hassle. So you don't have to take off the turban. Now these turbans is turban that is like, the scarf that you have properly and tied up. Not the topi, this one. Because this topi is very easy to take off and put back. So for this one, you have to go onto your hair, not on the topi. So that is there. So it says imama. Imama means like something wrapped on top of the head. The scarf of the sisters takes a long time to take off and put on. So you could just go on top of the scarf. Same thing with the brothers who've got turban. So you go on top of the turban instead of taking that turban off. And that's a lot of benefit in this, alhamdulillah. And by the way, the way of doing it that we have a hadith from Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ, said, Messenger of Allah, how is the wudu? So the Prophet called for water, and he started to make the wudu practically. So he's going to teach him, not just by saying do this or do that. No, look at me. That's how I'm going to do. So he said, and the narration, he washed his hands 3 times. I mean, I should have demonstrated the same thing as the Prophet of Allah, but I then promised, inshallah, when we finish, I'll do it. So he said, wash his 3 hands 3 times. And he washed his face 3 times. And he washed his arms 3 times. And he washed his, he had wiped his head, and then he had put his 2 index inside his ears, and as for the thumb, from the outside of the ear. So this is the index. The index, call it, yes? Call it the index? Yeah. Okay. The index is, it's not the ring finger, no, it's not the ring finger. Index is this one.
Yeah, the longer one.
So it's next to the thumb. It's the long one. It's not the long one. The middle one is the long one, yeah, Sheikh. You're confusing the index. So this one is inside the ear from there, and the thumb is from the outside like that. So this is inside, and this rotates from the outside. Only once. Khalas. That's the ears. After that, Prophet ﷺ, he said, and he had done washing the feet 3 times, then he said, this is the wudu. If somebody had increased on this or decreased from that, then he had made isa'ah, which is a sin, and dhulm, transgression. In decreased, that means not making the 3 2 times. Decreased, that means he did not wash a limb from the limbs. That's what it means. Now coming to the beard. So, go on.
Number 7, running the fingers through the beard. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh stated, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would make ablution, he would take a handful of water and put it below his jaw and run his fingers through his beard. And he said, this is how my Lord has ordered me to do.
That's how my Lord commanded me to do. So, is this a pillar? No. It is not, of course, a condition, so it is obligatory. It's obligatory. Because you washed your face. And the face, when you wash it, if you have a beard, it means what? You have touched it already, you wiped it. But this one is to run through after you wash your face. You take a handful of water, you do the following. Either you do like this, for the sister not watching, putting the fingers inside the beard and running the fingers like that, or just like this. Put the water like that and run it with your palm like that. So that's the beard. So you do like this, okay, like that, it's allowed, or like this, okay, it's allowed. You understand me? And I've seen the shuyukh doing like this. Okay?
It's not a pillar.
It's not a pillar, because you've done already the washing of the face, which is the pillar, and including that is the pillar. So it is command, and if you did not do it deliberately, and you believe it is a command, then you sinned. So it's not a pillar. Now,
Number 8, washing between the fingers and the toes. The Prophet ﷺ said, complete the ablution, run water between your fingers and toes, and put water well up your nose, unless you are fasting.
so this is putting water between what? Your fingers and between your toes. And that's as well a compulsory act. It's not a pillar. Not only that, the Prophet of Allah had said in a hadith, he said, لَتَنْهِكُنَّ الْأَصَابِعَ بِالطُّهُورِ أَوْ لَتَنْهِكَنَّهَا النَّارِ. Either you're going to be putting water between your fingers and your toes, or you're going to do that in the hellfire. Then the fire will get it. It's a pillar, sorry, it's a obligatory, compulsory, but because you washed your feet and you washed your hands, that's why we don't say it's a pillar, because it's included. Because it will go through it, water will go inside it, but we say it is compulsory. So you could say the pillar and the condition is more compulsory than the compulsory, if you wish. Tilsami, more emphasized compulsory, as our Shaykh al-Albani used to say, more emphasized compulsory. طيب. How does he clean between his toes? For verily between our hands, you know that. That's between your hands, But between your toes, with what? Anybody? Yes? Yes, with your little left finger. Why with the little left finger? Because it's the left. The left is for cleaning. That's number one. As for the little one, you don't want the big one. You're going to injure yourself between your toes. You're going to put the thumb. So you don't want a little one that runs through. Inshallah. Sunan.
The recommended sunan acts related to ablution. Number one, using the toothstick. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "If it were not to be a hardship on my nation, I would order them to use the toothstick when making every ablution."
SubhanAllah. Siwak meaning you clean your mouth, you clean your teeth. That's what it means. So, Prophet of Allah, if you remember, he had made the siwak from the Sunnah al-Fitr. You remember? The points correspond to the nature of mankind. That means your teeth is always cleaning. If I'm not having my mouth is cleansed, I will be uncomfortable to sit to my brother here next to him, because I might kill him with my breath. Okay? So it's very good to have your mouth always cleansed, nice and clean, smelling nice. And here, from that sunnah, is to make it as well in the wudu, to clean your mouth. Now, number two.
Number two, washing the hands 3 times at the beginning of the ablution. This is confirmed in the narration from Uthman radiallahu anh, in which he was describing the ablution of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wherein he washed his hands 3 times.
Right, washing the three times is recommended. So if you wash it 3 times, recommended. What is the compulsory? 1. 3 times is recommended. What is permissible? 2. So if you do it 2, no problem. 1 is the compulsory, 2 is no problem. The 3 is what? The sunnah. 4, haram.
Is it?
Yes. Haram. It's prohibited. Because you have made transgression, as the Prophet said. So, 1 is the pillar. 2nd is permissible. 3rd is the sunnah. 4th, if it is needed, there's no problem. You clean the 3rd time, but there's something there stuck. That's something else. But if you do it just like that, then you have made ta'addi, transgression. You have gone over the limit, gone overboard. Now, number 3.
Number 3, combining together the rinsing of the mouth and the nose 3 times each time with 1 handful of water. In the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd, in which he was teaching the ablution of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he stated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would rinse his mouth and nose from 1 handful of water, and he would do such rinsing 3 times.
Right. This is to show you the economization of the water. How? Instead of making the mouth on its own 3 times and the nose 3 times, in 1 handful, with your right, some of it will go into the mouth, some of it will go into the nostrils. And at the same time, you will take the water out of your mouth and from your nostril with your left hand side, like that. So, for the sister not watching or not seeing, that is, you should have a monitor there. Yeah, it's good to transfer. Well, it would be a good idea, eh, Sheikh?
He has to keep in trouble with.
I'll put the expenses towards committee.
No. I'm talking about just like when I made Hajj here before, with you.
No.
So I'll bring my own projector.
Okay.
I'll bring my own projector. The projector needs one. How can it be transferred in there?
Need a white screen in it.
How can I transfer the projector there?
You'd have to have a computer in it. You'd have to have camera, that camera,
gets into
would
project.
be hooked up
Yeah,
to
from
the
that
projector.
camera to the projector.
Yeah,
How?
that's right. Yeah, with a lead, isn't it?
Yeah, computer.
Yeah.
You wipe it.
Or you run that to the computer and from the computer to the
You
projector,
run to the computer.
Yeah.
and then you can run it from the computer.
Run it somehow.
If it goes to the computer, you can run it from the computer.
You good in this?
Yeah, I've got a projector, but
Not a projector.
yeah, I've done it before at my house. Yeah,
You've done this.
I've run it from a computer to the projector. Yeah, I've done that.
Not from the computer projector, but can you link the camera to the?
Yeah, you should be able to. I don't know about this one. Yeah,
HDMI.
yeah. Has it got HDMI?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can link that. Yeah.
جماعة خلاص كل.
Have you got HDMI? On your
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you can do that.
خلاص أخي. Done.
Save money.
Can we be the projector of yours?
Yeah, but what you're going to run that from? So that goes HDMI to there, and then we run from there.
You
to
need a
projector.
cable, big
Projector.
cable.
Yeah, from your thing, and then it's got to run to there.
VGA cable's not going to be big enough.
Yeah, it's not going to be long enough.
I used to do it for the sisters a long time ago through TV screen, and from the camera to the TV screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, with long cables, 10 meters cable.
Yeah, maybe like from there.
Might be able to go directly.
Yeah, from there to
You
the,
can put that
to the monitor. Yeah,
To the monitor, to the projector.
yeah, to the projector. Is the projector got the other slot? What's that called? HDMI.
HDMI.
Yeah, it's got that.
It could have, the projector could have one.
Yeah, it could have one. Yeah, if it's a newish one, it should have one.
Should have
Or
one.
you
Yeah.
can just stick that into another laptop.
This direct to TV. This one direct to TV.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do that. Yeah.
Because they have to see it, because when I do the practical
Oh,
one,
the wood, yeah.
they have to see it. It's not really right just to talk about it. طيب. Yes, I was worried about the financial issue.
I've got a spare TV at home that maybe you can hook up to it. Understand?
Spare TV with HDMI.
Sorry?
With HDMI on it.
You know, also HDMI.
I'll
You know,
find
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Has to be
You need a long one though, innit?
A long lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get yourself a
Even
long
ID.
lead.
You got ID in there.
no, you don't have to do a long lead. You could just put the camera there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Then
that's
zoom.
Right, yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's
it.
true. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
It's no problem. The camera could put it next to the lead, is the small lead,
Yeah.
and then the video.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, just zoom it into that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, class.
Or you could just sit there, isn't it?
Yeah, you
Shake sits there. Yeah.
So that's for next week, Sean.
Can
You gonna do the wood next week?
2 weeks time, yeah.
You're gonna do wood in 2 weeks' time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to do that, bro.
Huh?
I'll just speak to him, sorry. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, just have to get the lead in it. If you
Practice.
got a TV, we practice it on screen the TV.
Bring
you
it,
bring
we'll try it.
together, yeah.
We'll try it in the
Ah,
room.
yes, sir. Khalas. I mean, we used to do it in Wise
Yeah.
on a projector, which is a big screen, folds down. You know, so everything's been.
Yeah, white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a camera that takes from me and goes onto the computer inside, and from the computer transfers it into the
Yeah.
monitor.
Yeah.
And really nice. Okay, but we need to do that
Yeah,
for
inshallah.
the sisters. Okay, otherwise they're not going to come. Right, so we can just to make sure that you understand the water together. So part of the water goes into the mouth, part of it goes into the nose. With your left hand side, you take the water out of your nose. Before I go to the following point, please understand that when we said washing the hands 3 times at the beginning of the wudu, we said it is recommended, but this becomes compulsory to do it once at the beginning of the wudu if you had woken up from a night's sleep, and you're going to have wudu from a pot. Before you dip your hands in the pot, you must wash them outside. That's the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So if you have a pot, not a tap, you're going to make wudu out of it. Before you dip your hand into that pot and make wudu out of it, to wash your hands before, that's a must, compulsory. And it has to be from the night sleep. So if you slept during the day, like a nap, no problem. The hadith says, "Man is إذا استيقظ أحدكم من نومه." If anyone had woken up from his sleep, and the sleep is the night, then let it before he puts his hand into the pot, wash his hand, for verily he doesn't know where his hand was. Hadith says he doesn't know where his hand was. Interpretation of that could be in the hand of shaitan. It could be in the hand of what? Shaitan. So you wash it. طيب. Number 4. Go ahead.
Number 4, to read extensively unless one is fasting. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, In ablution, you should put water well up your nose unless you are fasting.
Now, when we say well up your nose, al-mubalagha, he says, fihim, is it the nostril, just the nostrils, he says?
It doesn't mention the nostril, it says just well up your nose.
No, he said number 4. Read number 4.
The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
You don't understand. You read the point number 4, please.
Oh, sorry. To rinse extensively unless one is fasting.
To rinse extensively what? To rinse what?
Nose.
Didn't say.
No, the mouth.
He doesn't say.
Rinse the
Oh.
mouth. Okay, so to make sure you understand, because he didn't understand it himself, the one who translated. To rinse the mouth and to put water in the nostrils. So it is both of them. Vigorously. That's a word better, yeah? Vigorously. To rinse the mouth and put in water in the nostril vigorously. Is that vigorously? With strength. Extensively, yes. Vigorously. Unless you are fasting. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Baligh fil istinshaq. Exaggerate in doing the nostril bit in the wudu unless you are fasting. So how do I exaggerate in the, or vigorously rinse the mouth? Anybody like to tell me? Gargle? That's not right. That's it. Somebody answered the question with no noise. He just showed me with his mouth. No, it's him. So it's actually you're moving the water into your mouth from one side to another. It's not that's something else. Tilting up your head and saying that's so it's moving the water from one side. You know what's enough in the mouth? What's enough in the wudu? When you rinse your mouth, what is enough?
Just the water.
Just do it once.
What? Don't understand if you understand what is the wudu.
Put water into your mouth.
What is the pillar?
To put water into your mouth.
That's it. You just like this.
Yeah.
Khalas. That's what is a pillar. You don't have to move it. That's the pillar. But the recommended act, do it 3 times. Okay, that's the rinsing of the water. Same thing with the nostril. But it's not like these people say inhale drugs and marijuana and then you injure yourself. So, and you could be as well moving your mouth to take whatever dirt. That's what it means vigorously. Why? Because if you're why not? Because not need to do it when you are fasting, because you might take the water inside. That's all. Number 5. Go ahead.
Number 5, starting with the right before the left side.
Starting with the right before the left side is not a sunnah. This is not right to be putting from the sunnah. It's an obligatory act. Obligatory. You have to start with the right before the left. Now,
Aisha radiallahu anha stated the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would like to begin with the right in putting on his shoes, combing his hair, acts of purification, and in all of his affairs. Furthermore, in the hadith of Uthman radiallahu anhu, in which he described the ablution of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he mentioned that he washed the right side first and then the left.
in his order, the first is right. When he eats the food with the right, is eating with the food with the right compulsory or recommended? Compulsory. Right. Number 6.
Number 6, rubbing the forearm. Abdullah ibn Zayd narrated the Prophet ﷺ was brought 2/3 of a mud of water and he started to rub his forearms.
I wouldn't say rubbing the forearm, just rubbing. The forearms is just an addition. So it's supposed to be rubbing, not rubbing the forearms. Rubbing. So you could be rubbing the forearms, you could be rubbing the foot. Rubbing. Now this becomes, is an act which is sunnah, becomes compulsory for somebody who's called the hairy man. Okay, the hairy person. You got lots of hair on your arm. Then rubbing becomes what? Compulsory. Make sure that the water goes inside. Reaches your skin. You've got lots of hair. Now, Number 7.
Number 7, washing each part 3 times. In the hadith of Uthman radiallahu anh, he stated that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam washed each part 3 times. However, it is also verified that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would wash each part only once or twice. It is also recommended to sometimes wipe the head more than once. This is because it has been authentically narrated from Uthman radiallahu anh that he wiped his head 3 times and said, I saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam make ablution like this.
Right. So what is recommended regarding the limbs is what? 3 times. But what about the head?
3 times. 1, 3.
What is recommended?
Once.
And recommended to do it sometimes
3 times.
3 times. Not all the time. All the time is what? Once. But from the recommendation is sometimes you do it 3 times. But the other limbs, all the times it's recommended to do it what?
3 times.
No, recommended 3 times. So it's all the time to do the other limbs, 3 times is recommended. And all the time to do the head, once recommended. But recommended also that is to make the head sometimes 3 times. Also the Prophet of Allah, it's been narrated from him that he did it what? Twice. So each hand twice. But now we're going to tell you something else. That the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also been documented from him with an authentic chain that he washed in the same wudu some of his limbs twice and the other ones 3 times. Do you understand that? So he made, for example, he washed his face twice, then he washed his arms, each one what? 3 times in the same wudu. So it's not true it has to be if it twice, all of it twice. If it's once, all of it once. So you could do one, the other one twice, the other one 3 times, no problem. And the hadith is Abdullah ibn Zayd in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. That would indicate for us that he used to do it sometimes once, sometimes twice. Okay, right. Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he said in Fath al-Bari that for verily hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd is should be having a chapter that is to wash some of the parts once, some of the parts twice, and some of the parts 3 times. As for the head, we have a hadith from Ar-Rubayya bint al-Mu'awwidh. She had also documented for us from the Prophet of Allah that he wiped his head twice. Not 3 times. How many? Twice. Here I've got all the ahadith that talks about 3 times, talk about twice, talk about once, talk about sometimes once and sometimes twice with the numbers. I've got the numbers here. If anybody wants them, he's welcome to take them. Right. Coming to the number 8.
Number 8, the proper order while making ablution.
You know the proper order, some of the scholars makes it what? Condition. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Some of the scholars consider proper order. You understand what proper order? To start, for example, with the hands and the face and the mouth and the nose and the face and the arms and the head and the feet. They make it from the what? Conditions. Yeah. No, not broken because it's not part of the wudu. It's outside the part. The pillars is part of the wudu. But whatever condition means, if you leave it, it's going to be what? Invalid. One of them is our Shaykh al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. He made it a condition, which is not right. Why? Because of this hadith, we're going to talk about it. If this hadith was authentic, khalas. Go ahead.
Prophet ﷺ would usually perform the ablution in the known order. However, it has been authentically narrated from Al-Miqdam ibn Ma'ad Yakrib, who said,
Al-Miqdam ibn Ma'di Yakrib, not Ma'ad, Ma'ad.
Ibn Ma'ad Yakrib, who said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was brought water and he made ablution. He washed his hands 3 times and then rinsed his mouth and his nose 3 times and then washed his face 3 times and then washed his forearms 3 times and then wiped his heads and his ears, the outside and inside of them.
I don't think you translated it rightly.
It is all.
This is the order. So what are you talking about?
There is no fruit here.
The translation is wrong. Okay, start from the beginning. That he had brought water and then he made wash his what?
He washed his hands
3 times.
3 times,
After that,
and then rinsed his
No.
mouth.
rinse his mouth and his nose. Circle that. You're going to put it somewhere else now. It was not the right order here. He had actually put it in the right order. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Just circle, please, the rinsing and the nostril. Circle them. We're going to put them in it now. After continue, please.
And then washed his face 3 times, and then washed his forearms 3 times.
Now, after that, you put the mouth and the nose. Do you understand that? So, please, can you read the hadith for us? In the order that I told you. So I could tell you if it's right translation or not. Go ahead.
The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was brought water, and he made ablution. He washed his face.
No.
Hands.
He washed.
No, you have to do it properly. Because I can't, before you really do it properly, don't confuse me.
Yeah.
Do it in your head first. If you did what I did, what I told you to do, should not be confused.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was brought water, and he made ablution. He washed his hands 3 times, then washed his face 3 times, and then he washed his hands 3 times.
Forearms.
Oh, sorry, arms. Yeah.
Sheikh, let me just correct it in his book, so make sure that we understand what we say. The Messenger of Allah brought water and made ablution. He washed his hand 3 times. But you circled everything.
That's all right.
That's why. I'll do it and then inshallah you read it
Okay.
the way you like it.
After the forearms, then it goes to the nose and mouth. Yeah.
Now you read it. Yeah, no mistake. Yeah.
The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was brought water, and he made ablution. He washed his hands 3 times, and then he washed his face 3 times, and then washed his forearms 3 times, and then rinsed his mouth and his nose 3 times, and then wiped his head and his ears, the outside and inside of them.
Alhamdulillah. It's just to do with the circling. Khalas. That's good translation. Right, number 9.
How come there's no fruit here?
Sorry?
Nothing, just no fruits in the hadith.
No, it says dots. That means it's continuation. The continuation hasn't been finished. We're not concerned about what he done after that.
Okay.
We wanted just to make sure you understand that he had put the mouth and the nostril well after the what? The forearms. What comes after the forearms? The head, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you put it before the head. Then you wash the feet, of course. There's a dots there. Means you wash the feet. Put dots. Put dots. The continuation. There's a continuation.
We've got 1 dot.
No, it should be 4. After the finish, the hadith, then he wiped his head, and outside his head, please put dots. The hadith not continued. That's a very good point. Put points. The hadith not finished.
There's only 1 word left.
No, there's more. It's a long hadith.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Number 9, supplication afterwards. The Prophet ﷺ said, "None of you make ablution and complete the ablution properly, and then says, I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad ﷺ is the servant of Allah and his messenger, except that the 8 gates of paradise will be opened for him, and he enters from any he wishes." Tirmidhi narration adds to say, "O Allah, make me from those who repent, and make me from those who purify themselves."
Jazakallah khair. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri?
Abu Sa'id narrated that the Prophet
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam
ﷺ said, "Whoever makes ablution and then says, perfect and exalted are you, O Allah, and with your praise there is none worthy of worship except you. I seek your forgiveness and repent to you. It will be written for him on a white scroll and sealed with a seal that will not be broken until the day of resurrection.
Don't forget that dua, brothers. Right, so this is the dua after the wudu. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Or سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. I'm asking that dua سبحانك اللهم بحمدك. Where do you say it as well?
After gathering.
After gathering. And the gathering. So when you finish the gathering, like now, سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Same thing. Right, number 10.
Number 10, forming 2 units, rak'ahs of prayer afterwards. After explaining the manner of the Prophet ﷺ's ablution, Uthman radiallahu anhu said, I saw the Prophet ﷺ before ablution like this ablution of mine, and the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever makes ablution like this ablution of mine, and then stands and prays 2 units, rak'ahs of prayer, and no other thought coming to his mind, then his previous sins will be forgiven.
Abu Hurairah also narrates.
Abu Hurairah also narrates, the Prophet ﷺ said to Bilal at the time of the morning prayer, inform me of a deed you performed in Islam, concerning which you have the most hope for, as I heard your footsteps in front of me in paradise.
Can I just ask you please, when I said Abu Hurairah also narrates, and then it's actually what he just says, isn't it? Also narrates.
Yeah.
So what is Abu Hurairah before? Is it Abu Hurairah before that? Or is it also?
No, he didn't give this one any.
No. Number 10. Read me to number 10.
Okay.
10 it says praying to Rak'ah because Uthman. Does it say Uthman there?
Yeah, Uthman, yeah.
There's no Abu Hurairah, isn't it?
No.
So take the word also. Do you understand me?
Yeah.
There's no need for the also. I said it, and then I'm making a mistake. This guy is making the same mistake as well. طيب, تفضل. So, O Bilal, tell me of what? Yes? O Bilal.
Inform me of a deed you perform in Islam concerning which you have the most hope for, as I heard your footsteps in front of me in paradise. He replied, there is no deed concerning which I am more hopeful except that I never purify myself during the night or day, but that I pray with the purification whatever has been recorded for me to pray. What negates the absolute... Oh no, that's the next one.
Right. You finished now?
Yeah. That's it.
Right, okay. So basically Abu Hurairah, Bilal radiallahu anhu is in the Jannah, not before the Prophet ﷺ. It's just that particular time when the Prophet ﷺ entered in his dream, he saw Bilal before him. Not the first person that entered Jannah was that.
Rasulullah.
On that particular day, in that dream, he saw Bilal before him in Jannah. What did you do to have that? So he said, Messenger of Allah, every time I have wudu, whether it is during the night or during the night or the day, that I would pray a prayer. So I pray 2 rak'ah. Also, Bilal does something else. Every time he breaks his wudu, he makes wudu. You get it? Every time he breaks wudu, he makes wudu. And every time he makes wudu, he makes 2 rak'ah.
Is that the 2 rak'ah where you think of nothing though, or is that different?
It doesn't matter.
Can be included.
Could be included, inshallah. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if you make the wudu, you pray the 2 rak'ah. So the 2 rak'ah sunnat al-wudu. But the Bilal, he's got 2 things. Every time he makes, and this is good for your person called waswasa. So you don't have to think, am I wudu or not? Because you know yourself, every time you break your wudu, you what? You make wudu. Khalas, you're wudu all the time. You kill your waswasa. You know, the people that are, am I wudu or not wudu? Suspended prayer, am I wudu? Not wudu. Khalas. You are, every time you make wudu, you have to make wudu every time you want, you bring wudu. And then you get rid of the waswasa. Number 11. I'm going to add it. Number 11. Taking the water from the nostril with the left hand. Taking the water from the nostril with the left hand. Remember when I said to you? You put in the right, under the right hand nostril with the right, and you take it with what? with the left. And the hadith is an Nasai, Sunan an-Nasai, regarding this issue. Right, we stop here, and I think we have, mashallah, big session tonight. Have any questions? What is your book? What is your copybook? You have to have something to write with. Go on. Next time we'll see you with the book. Something to write with. Like these boys, right? Have to write. Can't depend on this. You know, that one is not a computer. They let you down. Yeah.
Some Muslims, they think that there's some sweets.
Some Muslims think sweet.
There's some sweets. They contain gelatin.
Yeah.
And it's halal. Are they right?
So what's that got to do with the wudu? So when you've been sitting here thinking about, is my father going to bring me sweets or not?
He's had that in his mind for a long time.
Khwani, gelatin is no problem. Okay? Gelatin is no problem. But the problem, if it's made of pork out of disgust, not on. Because I'm not going to bring to my children something called pork. I'm getting used to the pork. Whereas bacon flavored crisps, it's suitable for vegetarians, but I don't bring it. Why? I'm not going to get my children used to two things. One, word bacon. Number two, the flavor of the bacon. How can I just give them the flavor of something which is haram? So it's like a person who says, I want to taste what's the bacon in. Oh, take bacon crisps. It's the same taste. Huh? How can the people do like this? So when your child got used to these things, then don't blame anybody except for yourself when he grows up and he goes, No, if somebody invites him a cafe to, you got a bacon sandwich, he will not say haram. Oh, don't worry, I'll eat from it because I know the taste of it already. Yes? So we want to make sure, I like your sibat, my dear boy. So we want to make sure that we are far away from the pork and the salt. So gelatin is no problem. And I'll tell you what, something else. I have, through my own experience, something made of gelatin which doesn't say halal, much, much more tastier than the one that says halal gelatin. I don't know what do they put in this halal gelatin. Wallahi. Tastes horrible sweets. Okay? The other one is more original sweets. Okay? You're going to have trouble if you're going to buy something with gelatin in front of a Pakistani or something like that. You're really in trouble. And you're going to have more trouble if you start scanning into the cashier with a Pakistani. Wallahi. There was a sister, she is uncovered. No hair, nothing covering her hair and everything. Me and my wife shopping, and we got, things. And something passed with her, and she stopped the whole thing. And she started reading. And he used to me, she got gelatin, ya akhi. My brother got gelatin. So I'm looking at her, what shall I tell her? Gelatin, or shall I tell her, well, cover yourself?
You put it back.
I said, sister, we want to have gelatin. And she looked at it like a bad look. And by the way, gelatin is absolutely halal. No problem about that. Okay. Khalas. But she didn't really take it properly. I don't know what to do. These people are, I precious in them their hatred to the haram. That's very good. But it's in the wrong way. Just like a person, he wants to do the honor for the Quran, he starts kissing it. The kissing it is not allowed. But you should read as well from the other side, see that how they love the Quran. So one day I was shopping in Asda. I remember myself during the night on my own. And suddenly one person from my back, man, is taking my stuff and saying, brother, is haram. And I looked, wallahi, it's a young sister with long hair, uncovered. She saw me picking up something, and she thinks me an old man I am, uncle, grandfather, and she thinks that I don't know anything, an idiot, buying anything. See what I mean? I don't understand the English language. Uncle, this is haram. Allah al-Musta'an. And then I have to explain to her, and then to the other sister, she didn't listen. She just I went to them and said, sister, this is not haram. What is haram is you not covered. Covering yourself is the haram. So not covering yourself is not. So I precious in you that, mashallah, jazakallahu khairan for that. Number of times. Now when you buy, for example, as well, some of those drinks which are, the non-alcoholic beer. You know the non-alcoholic beer?
Yeah.
Like, can't remember something, a drink I used to provide. Bavaria. Now, when I buy the Bavaria, it is very good for the kidney. It will clean the stones, kidney stones. The Bavaria, and there's Bavaria's flavors. It's got, for example, strawberry. These flavors, apple. Okay, so I bought some as well, and me and my wife on the cashier as well. This brother Pakistani held it, and he wanted to read, wasn't it? Is it alcoholic and alcoholic? I said, brother, jazakallah khair, but it's not alcoholic. You think we're going to buy it? Oh, what? It bleeped, bleeps on the. That means 25 years old. I said, even if it bleeps, they put it like this because some of the idiots, they get drunk on the non-alcoholic drinks. Do you understand that? Because it's cheap. Just they imagine themselves getting drunk. They are basically fanatics or whatever they are. But it bleeps. It has to be 25 years or older. But it's alcohol free. And it's got below 0.05%. You have to know that. Alcohol free in this country means below 0.05. Anything below that, it's called what? Alcohol free. Even your orange juice will have that amount. Your orange juice will have that amount. That's how they are delicate in that. I used to buy from, as well, my favorite superstore was Asda because it's cheap. Shandy. You know Shandy?
Yeah.
Shandy is a big drink, and it's like 2 liter they sell it. And they used to sell it they sell it in the soft drinks, the soft with the Coca-Cola and everything. So I used to buy this, and I used to like the lemon taste of it. Then I went home, and I started reading on the back of it. It says it contains less than 0.05. That's the beginning when I came to this country. ABV. What's ABV? I don't understand what's ABV. So I phoned the customer service of Asda, the main ones. I rang them up. I said, I'm buying this drink. What is ABV stands for? She said to me, I'll put you on hold. She put me on hold. After 1 minute, I can't remember, she got back to me. She said, alcohol, I think barrel volume. Alcohol barrel volume. Something like this. I said, alcohol? She said to me, it's alcohol free, but this is how we are. I said, but you should put the word alcohol barrel volume. You can't just put ABV. I'm a Muslim, I don't know that word. So she said, okay, we'll put your complaint into the system. Wallahi, not more than 2 weeks, I remember. Wallah, I went to Asda again. I went to the Shandy and looked at the back, and it says alcohol barrel volume. From one phone call, they were scared. One phone call, they changed how many bottles, how many millions of bottles have changed. Subhanallah, they have to put that word. By law, because I don't understand what the ABV. That is I would say, the justice of the system. Justice of the system. So, when people ask me, are we allowed to buy halal meat from Tesco or from, there's halal meat? I tell them, wallahi, those people, they will sell absolutely 100% halal, if it's halal. Do you understand me? If it says halal, they can't tamper because the amount of compensation they're going to be paying. By law, if they've been found out, it's going to shut them down. So why should they jeopardize their trade by putting something which is not halal? So they said it's halal, 100%. Now, for
So like Yom al-Jum'ah, if you're in Junub and you're going to do ghusl.
Janaba.
Yeah, janaba. Can you do the one ghusl with the two intentions for the prayer and the janaba?
Or janaba and the Jumu'ah?
Yeah, or do you have to do...
Okay. When you are having two compulsory acts, One compulsory act will not cover for the second compulsory act. What is compulsory here? Jumu'ah,
Yeah.
ghusl.
Yes,
And what is compulsory here? Removal of the janab.
Yeah.
Two compulsory acts. None of them will take over for the second one. No. So each one has to be done, to be performed in that ghusl of yours. So if you are taking shower, you're taking shower for example.
Yeah.
It's just a shower. So in that, the first intention is to remove the janaba.
Yeah.
You don't have to go and dry yourself,
Yeah.
step out of the shower. No. While you are in the shower, have the second intention after you finish,
Yeah.
for the sake of the Jumu'ah.
Ah, okay.
Always remember this principle. Wajib and wajib, they cannot be done by one. It has to be by two. I'll give you an example. In the Hajj, you have the circumambulation around the Kaaba called Tawaf al-Ifada. And another Tawaf is called Tawaf al-Wada', which is the circumambulation for farewell. Some of the pilgrims, they perform this in one. So they really delay their circumambulation for Ifada to lump it with the Wada' and make it in only 1 7 round. That's not allowed. Has to be this for Ifada and the other one for the Wada'. Wajib cannot compensate for another wajib. Give you another example. I have got another to slaughter 2 lamb, 2 sheep. And I've got a son, mashallah, was born 7th day. But my aqiqah is compulsory. And fulfilling the vow is what? Compulsory. I cannot lump these two and I say, okay, it's my vow plus it is my aqiqah. Cannot. It has to be 2 sheep for the aqiqah and 2 sheep for the what? The vow. Is that understood?
Yeah.
You made a vow to fast a day. Like in Ramadan, to fast a day. Came Ramadan. I would say, I love the 2 days fasting Ramadan plus the vow. It's not allowed because each are 2 compulsory acts, separate. That's the principle of Allah. Alhamdulillah. Right, you call it a day? Wait. Don't leave. Don't finish. Wait. 1 minute extra. Fadal.
Do you know when you, like you said about the wudu, if like that time you have to stop and you can carry on. If like your grandparent or someone like old and they can't get something and you go and get it for them and you come back, can you carry on from where you were or do you have to start again?
I think we could wait for you to finish 1 minute, inshallah. Then we can get it. Quickly.
You know, if you pick up a book like this, Islam Muslim, some people like raise their hands while they make dua from it, and some people don't. What do you know when you have to put your hands up for dua or not to put your hands up?
Raising up the hands, always in the general dua. But if it's a dua or a specific saying linked to a particular worship, then I have to do it without raising up the hands unless it's been specified to raise up the hands. For example, when I come out of the toilet, what do I say? غفرانك. When I go inside, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. Do I say that? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. Get into the toilet. Do I do that?
No.
If you do that, then you will say to him, that's wrong. Because it's a dua. It's a dua, but it's linked to a particular ibadah. That is, I'm going to go and urinate or whatever. So I cannot raise up the hands. But in general. So, same thing. When you are making the dua after the adhan, you say, اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وبعثه مقام محمود الذي وعدته. You don't raise up your hands. I've seen, unfortunately, even some of those known people, Mu'adhin the Haram, they do raise up the hands. That's not the sunnah. Raise up the hands is only in the general dua. Raise up the hands. But in particular du'as, which the Prophet of Allah taught us to say, and yet we don't have a proof that raising up the hands, we cannot put that raising up the hands. And the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he had heard the adhan so many times. So many times. None of them has been narrated that he put the hands up. No.
In general dua, is it sufficient that you can point the finger and make dua, or is it you have to raise the hands? Or
Raising the hands is the dua.
Can you point the finger as well? Just
Pointing the fingers in the khutbah al-Jumu'ah. The Imam will do that, but not you.
Not to make
Khutbah
dua.
al-Jumu'ah, the Imam will do that. Now.
On the topic of continuity, when you put your socks on for mass, do you have to complete the wudu or do you do one sock at a time as you wash each foot?
We're going to come to the wiping as an answer for quickly, because look at, wiping is a different section here. We have to wash your feet, both of them, and then put the socks, and then after that you could wipe. Can't just wash one and then put the sock and then wash the second and put the sock. We have to stop here. Yalla ikhwana.
If I complete my wudu and I step out the bathroom, and as soon as I step out the bathroom, I see that there's a patch on my foot that I haven't hit with the water, can I go back in and just hit that part, or do I have to start my wudu completely
So this
again?
person, he had finished his wudu
And just stepped
and
outside.
he looked after the wudu was finished that there is a spot which is dry.
Yeah.
The water isn't touched. Do I start from the beginning or do I wash that limb? So if that water which you have washed your limb with still wet on your arms, then you just wash that limb which has got no water. But if your water had dried up, okay, all of it from the old limbs, then you have to start from the beginning. Does that answers you, inshallah? Subhanakallah bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.